Ah, Medal of Honor, European Assault. I love the Medal of Honor series. I think it's probably one of the best game series that personally I know, or that personally I think. I'm pretty sure everybody at least once in their life has had to have played a Medal of Honor game. The most recent Medal of Honor game was that more modern day one that was made by EA maybe about 1 or 2 years ago. And that game really wasn't that good. But this game takes place in World War II, and it's really similar to all the other Medal of Honor games. All these Medal of Honor games are just the same. You play as a guy who was in World War II. Then you have to do something kind of, simple, like clear out this main German bad guy, or stop a certain bomb planting, or really any of that. In this game, you play as Ben Halt, which is actually kind of cool, because this time, this game actually has sort of a story. You play as Ben Halt, and you go through certain parts of the world during World War II to try and find out plans for this guy named Von Schrader, who might be building a bomb. Like I said, you travel to all different kinds of places around the world during World War II. Some of the places take place in St. Nazaire with the British, North Africa with the British, Russia with the, well, you guessed it, Russians, and Battle of the Bulge, one of the most famous battles of all of World War II for the Americans. Now, before you even start playing any levels, you get to see what you have to do for objectives before you start your level. There's things such as doing the main quest, doing a side mission, killing a boss, doing more side missions, and collecting intelligence. This is always needed to be done in every level. There's usually like 3 or 4 different side quests that you need to do. They're not very important, but if you want to make sure you can actually get more health packs and revives in later levels, it's probably good to do it. Now, usually in most Medal of Honor games, people say that you're really the only one doing the work and pretty much have to kill all the bad guys yourself. In Medal of Honor European Assault, that's kind of true. In every level, you always have 2 or 3 allies that will tag along with you. But I gotta tell ya, I've seen bad AI before, but these AIs are as dumb as a box of rocks. Apparently the AI teammates think that it's a good idea to run in front of enemy fire or run in front of tanks. You can direct them to where you want them to go, but they won't listen to you. They decide that if you want them to go to the right side of the wall, they'll just go in front of the machine gun that's blasting them in the face. Now that we're talking about AI, let's talk about the enemy AI. The AI for the enemies is actually fantastic. But now that I think about it, it's a little too fantastic. There were a lot of times where I was looking at an enemy and they weren't even aiming their gun at me, but apparently they were shooting and it was still hitting me. There was a lot of times where I was hiding behind cover, but I still felt like I was still being shot, even though I was perfectly concealed by a wall. Most of the graphics in the game look pretty good. Even though this game was made in 2005, I'm pretty sure EA could have done a little bit of a better job with the graphics. I'll tell you what doesn't look good though, the character models. They look terrible. Seriously, there only seemed to be about 10 character models in all. There only seemed to be like 2 for Germans, 3 for British, and the rest for just everyone else. Everything else, from scenery to backdrop, didn't really look that great either. I think EA could have done another better job with the level layout too. Some levels were actually a little bit of open world, but most of them were just kind of get to point A to point B. There's nothing wrong with this, but I wish there could have been a little bit more creativity with it. In about every level of the game, you have to go against a boss battle. These boss battles usually aren't tough, as long as your teammates actually listen to you and cooperate, and if you have a lot of ammo, you should get through them with ease. The sound in the game is very great. All the weapon sounds sound very good and very realistic. The voice acting is phenomenal and the music is fantastic. Medal of Honor European Assault also had a multiplayer option. It wasn't online considering the fact that it was GameCube and a PS2 game, but it did have up to 4 players co-op. You could play Capture the Flag and regular team deathmatch and all that. Since I didn't have anyone to play it with though, I really couldn't test it. It was fun to play against myself. Of course it was. But still, I'm pretty sure without the 4 players it would have been pretty fun. I kinda did wish they did have an online multiplayer option, but again, budget, I guess. Medal of Honor European Assault is a very great game. The graphics are good, the sound is good, and the overall gameplay is good. This is an obvious statement, but The more you progress through the game, the harder it gets. And even on the easiest difficulty, this game will get very hard. I died so many times that I actually got frustrated in the Russian levels, and I know I'm going to get a lot of bad comments about this, but I reserved to cheats. I know cheats aren't really good to use because they're cheap, of course, and you don't really actually, technically progress through the game. But I tried so hard to try and get through this game, but I just couldn't, so I had to at least get through this so I can make an overall opinion. Other than that, Medal of Honor is a very good game. If I had to give it a letter grade, I would give it an A-. If I had to give it a word grade, I'd give it a great. If you can find this game in stores, I recommend buying it. Go back to the World War II games and to go back to the Medal of Honor series. This is a very good game.